What's up, everybody? In today's episode, I'm going to go over the 5 reasons you're doing intermittent fasting and failing miserably. Now, we already know that doing intermittent fasting is already controversial if you're doing 4 to 5 watts per week. I'm going to go over the 5 reasons and biggest mistakes people make when they take this approach. Stay tuned for the very last tip and mistake that people are making because it's at the end of this video and it is the most important. Now, before we get going, I see you guys lurking out there watching my videos but not subscribed to the channel. 70% of you watch the videos but are not yet subscribed. It literally takes 5 seconds. Click that subscribe button so you can get notified the next time I push out a video. Now, let's get into it. Number 1 is biggest mistake people are making is that they're not fueling themselves properly around their workouts. Justin, please tell me, how do I intermittent fast and fuel around my workouts if my workouts are in the morning? Well, I don't have a really good answer for you there because you really can't. If you're doing a 16-8 fast, which is where you're actually eating for 8 hours and fasting for 16, and you don't eat in the morning at all because of this, and you work out at the 5 or 6 a.m. or 9 a.m., you're not going to be fueling properly for your workouts. And this is a big mistake people make because although they're intermittent fasting and they're taking this approach with their nutrition, they're not fueled properly for their workouts. Not being fueled means we don't burn as many calories, we don't push as hard in our workouts, we're not going to be able to hit PRs and get stronger, and therefore you're left with basically no advantages to doing intermittent fasting. If you want to fuel for your workouts properly, you have to eat around your workout window, and sometimes intermittent fasting does not allow for this to happen. So instead, make sure you fuel around your workouts, especially with carbs and especially with protein, which is the #1 most important macro if you're doing 4 to 5 watts per week, instead of fasting through your entire workout. Tip number 2, or the biggest mistake people make when they're intermittent fasting, is you're not giving in your protein goal. Protein is the #1 most important macro if you're doing 4 to 5 watts per week. It helps build muscle. It helps make sure that we're not overeating, and it's very, very satiating. It helps repair muscle tissue, especially after those really intense workouts where we've torn muscle tissue and we need to build those muscles back up. And it even helps with fat loss because it makes sure that we're not overeating. So getting in your protein goal is very important. My recommendation for those of you doing 4 to 5 watts per week is to target somewhere between 0.8 and 1 gram per pound of body weight. Now, to hit this goal, it becomes extremely difficult if you're fasting 16 hours of the day. You would have to literally group in, let's say you weigh 200 pounds, somewhere between 160 and 200 grams of protein in literally just 8 hours. If you break that down into 3 meals, that's 60 to 70 grams of protein each meal. It doesn't seem very supportive and very likely to be consistent for a lot of you. And therefore, if it's not sustainable, you're not going to see the predictable results that you want. If you're someone that struggles to hit your protein goal and you're not exactly sure where to start, maybe you're a beginner to actually focusing more on your nutrition and you're ready to make a change, our team is taking on clients in 2025. We built the capacity to be able to take on more, and I'm happy to announce we have spots open for those of you that are ready to get started on your journey. So if 2025 is your year and you're ready to lose body fat, build muscle, crush your WODs, and you don't want to track macros, go ahead and click the link in the description below. You can book a call with me. Somebody from my team will go over your goals and hopefully work together to help you take that next step to feel confident, amazing, both inside and outside of your box. Tip number 3 is injury. Injury sucks. I've been injured before. It doesn't feel good to go into the gym. You don't even want to go half the time because you have something nagging you. You don't know what's going to hurt it and what's not. And you can't do the workout as prescribed, and it's just very disheartening. Now, why are people getting injured? People get injured on intermittent fasting because they're not giving their body enough fuel to actually perform well in their workouts. When you're under-fueling yourself and giving yourself too little calories, you're going to put yourself at risk for injury. Remember, our bodies need us to be fueled, especially if you're doing 4 to 5 watts per week. We're going to max intensity and in ranges of motion. We put ourselves and we're very susceptible to injury if we're not fueled enough and fueled properly. So to avoid being injured, actually make sure you're eating enough to sustain your protein, carb, and fat goal that gets in the calorie requirements necessary to make sure that you're not injured in 2025. Number 4 is hormones. A lot of you guys might come at me for this, but there's not a lot of research out there in intermittent fasting, especially for women. And so a lot lot of the times, hormones are downregulated and not actually functioning properly in the body when we don't support and eat enough, especially when it comes to intermittent fasting around our workouts. This could go back to my previous example where you're literally not eating in the morning at all and your workouts in the morning. This is not good. I would challenge anyone out there to send literature over that are randomized control trials that also indicate specifically for women that this is an optimal approach for you to take if you're doing 4 to 5 watts per week. It's really no supportive research out there showing that in the absence of a calorie deficit, it's not advantageous to intermittent fast over a long period of time. And I especially caution women around this because the research is just not there. So you need to protect your hormones, you need to protect your menstrual cycle and your period. You need to make sure you're eating enough to be able to support that. If you've lost your period already, please consult someone that will allow you to make sure that you're eating enough to be able to regain this back and that you put yourself in a safe position for your overall health. And then the 5th mistake is binge eating. Intermittent fasting is basically just binge eating. Think about it. Binge eating comes from when we overeat too much. Once we overeat too much, we feel guilty. After that guilt we go through our process of guilt. We're trying to work through it. We decide, you know what? I'm going to deprive myself because I just binge ate. I feel guilty about it. Let me deprive myself. Depriving yourself occurs in that following morning when you're intermittent fasting. After you deprive yourself, you start to crave. Those cravings ensue, and guess what? You binge eat again. This is the exact cycle of intermittent fasting. This is a struggle that I've worked with deeply and closely with Haley Adams on in terms of her binge eating and just making sure she could feel more consistent energy levels throughout the day, give her body the support that it truly needs. So the biggest mistake I see is that people eat whatever they want in the evening time when they're not fasting. They feel guilty, they deprive themselves, they crave again, and then they binge again. And this is not what we want to do, especially in the long term. We need to give ourselves consistent energy throughout the day. We're giving our body the support around its workout so that we can actually feel fueled, lose body fat, build muscle, crush your WODs. And that is what's actually going to make the difference for you if you're looking to make big changes with your body composition and the way you perform and hitting PRs in 2025. So these are the 5 mistakes that I see with intermittent fasting. And if you put my hand on the Bible and said, Justin, I want you to be as honest as possible about how you feel about intermittent fasting, I would say don't do it, especially if you're doing 4 to 5 WODs every single week, because all of these things surmount up and it doesn't feel like a sustainable approach for most. If you knew all of this stuff already, you're like, Justin, come on, man, give me the goods. I already know all this stuff about intermittent fasting. There's only 2 reasons that if you knew all of this stuff, you're not seeing the results that you want. Number 1, a lack of consistency. You're doing amazing during the week. During the weekends, quite frankly, you suck. You don't have a plan. You're not really sure what your day is going to look like. And therefore, your eating is random, which equals random results. Number 2, accountability. You know what to do and how to implement it, but you don't have anybody leading the way for you. And you're ready for somebody to take this off of your plates. You quit thinking about food all day and you can just have a plan and you're going to be the one that implements it. You just need something that's customized that fits your life. And so I'm giving some of you the opportunity to work with CBG in 2025. We have 11 full-time coaches on our team and they're ready to get you going to lose body fat, build muscle, and crush your WODs without tracking macros. All you have to do, there's a free consultation link below. You'll click that link, you'll schedule a call, we'll go over your goals to make sure we can even help you, qualify you for our program, and then we can talk about what the next steps might look like. All options that we have are usually affordable for most people, so don't be afraid to take that next step. You have nothing to lose, especially if your goals are important to you and you're ready to make 2025 your year. All right, guys, don't intermittent fast, don't track your macros, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.